details.
Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Good evening to you, Dr. Jared Johnson, Darren May. Good to see you. Go Blue MFer from the YouTube page. Good to see you. Listen, tonight I'm keeping my head on a swivel. Okay, any of these names coming in? Amanda Hugginkiss. Who was it? Lou Sassel. I made an appearance on the last show. And then, of course, what is Gabe Owners? We're just going to be on the lookout here for any of the random names that are coming in. We're going to talk about this evening, and I think it starts with Michigan basketball. Jared, were you able to watch the game, or were you too inebriated to take it all in? I know you're a guy that likes to party.
No, I had to go to Kalamazoo at 9:30 the next morning. I was up at 7 and out the door.
It was like a Tinder date.
Yeah, VFW convention. Yeah.
Same
Super
difference.
close, Chris. Yeah. Yeah, I do Tinder dates at 9:30 in the morning with women named Gertrude.
Oh.
9:30 in the morning, bro. Why would I have to go to bed early to go to a date at 9:30 at night the next day?
At our age, Jared, that's pretty much where it's at now. You go to Bob Evans, you get the early bird, get some good breakfast in you, and then you go,
Yeah, because you're married. I'm not. That's the difference, my friend. No. Love you.
Michigan Wolverines on the hardwood, the basketball program. Hell of a week last week for the Michigan Wolverines, knocking off number 5 Nebraska 75-72. That one was in Ann Arbor. And then Michigan goes on the road at Breslin, a place where they hadn't won since 2018. And they knock off Michigan State 83-71. It looked like it was going to be. I remember you sent me a text and you said, "Hey, is it possible this is going to be a blowout?" And then lo and behold, Michigan all of a sudden gets up by 18. And it's like, man, this second half, things could get really ugly. The Michigan State Spartans rallied. They made it close. They actually ended up taking a 1-point lead there briefly before Michigan locked back in and ultimately got the W. So, Jared, I think that's a good place for us to start because there is some football news that came out tonight that we'll get to at the end of the show or towards the back half of the show. But I really think basketball is the place to start here. I mean, let's see. I want to make sure we do this because I want to go in order here because I think that there's a lot.
Since you got caught off guard by this funny name, now you're all about structure and order. Let's read everything through. And
I will not. I got probably worse than anyone's ever got with that name. I've never heard of it before. What is Gabe Owners? I've never heard of that before, ever in my life. So well done. We will keep it. Like I said, we'll keep a lookout in the comments here. Let's start with when leading up to the game. I think you could tell that this one, I mean, we all knew that the energy was going to be incredible at the Breslin. And look, I'm not a Michigan State fan. I hate Michigan State. I'm not a fan of their fans, which in the recent days, I've been thinking like, man, who is worse? Is it Ohio State fans or Michigan State fans? And I think you could make a strong case for both, but Michigan State fans they're a brutal bunch to have to interact with. Jared, you live out there in East Lansing. But we knew this one was going to be, well, you're pretty much East Lansing. We knew this one was going to be hype. And I will say, give their fans credit because Breslin is, that was like a powder keg, man. You could tell that like if things started to swing the other way early, that place was ready to blow its top and the crowd definitely brought all the energy. But fortunately, Michigan was able to withstand it. I think it was interesting early in the game, actually before the game even started, it was kind of going viral. Dusty May's interaction with the student section that was starting to show up early. He walks out onto the court. He's just trying to get a sense of everything. And then lo and behold, I don't know how many there were, maybe like 500 students already in the stands, sitting directly behind where the bench was. And they're shouting at Dusty May, F Dusty May over and over and over. And then rather than getting rattled or screaming or shouting or starting to give it back, what does he do? He just kind of gets a smile on his face and he takes a seat and he sits there. And that sort of led to what has become a somewhat iconic photo of Dusty May sitting back, very relaxed, leg crossed, and then you've got the students in the back shouting at him. I thought that really set the tone for what Michigan's mentality was and how they were approaching this game. I mean, Jared, any thoughts on that? I did see some Michigan fans getting on Michigan State fans about being classless for yelling at Dusty May. To me, this was
his own. It wasn't fans. It was the students. That's their job. Yeah. He came out. They flexed. He flexed. Didn't even acknowledge them and sauntered back into the tunnel.
It's a big word. What does that mean?
1-0 Dusty May on this one. And I think he's going to get some more points as we continue through the podcast. But right now, he's up on East Lansing 1-0 for that. Like, he didn't even look at them. I thought epic.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
The tone, like he didn't give a shit. Like, he had the best team, and he knew he had the best team. And we'll get more into the game. But I felt like even during the game, they knew. Like, when State went up 1, I had thoughts of past, like, Juwan Howard teams. Remember, they used to lose the 1-point game over and over, the close game.
Yeah,
like, we're fine. Just went and finished it off and blew them out again. Like, they blew them out like twice in that game. You know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah, I thought it was great. Set the tone. I'm sure Facebook was lit up. I saw you shared it on a couple things.
Yeah, I mean, it was that was what was going viral ahead of the game here. I am on the same page as my wife here, though. She
sauntered, dude. It's like an old Western.
What does that mean?
Gunslinger. He's a gunslinger, dude.
Sauntered means to be a gunslinger?
You don't saunter around?
No.
I saunter around my house just so my kids know who's in charge. Try sauntering around your house.
I limp around. I've got a lot of aches.
That's why your son sits in the recliner and you sit on the couch. Because you're limping around now. You got to saunter around the house. Like,
he's the one sauntering all over the house. Yeah. Okay. Matt Kirby says strut. Okay, that makes a little more sense to me. Let's just try to cut out the big words tonight,
you guys don't get
so that I can make my way through the show here. Yeah, I thought that was a really great way to set the tone. And then obviously Michigan came out, and right from the jump, I mean, you could tell one team was locked in, one team was ready for battle, and the other team looked like they played tight. Michigan State, one thing you can't ever question with them is they are going to come to battle. They are going to put up a fight against Michigan. Tom Izzo fully leans into that rivalry, and I think it's one of the things that makes it so great. But, man, the Spartans were playing very tight. I think they were shooting like, I don't know, a little over 10% at one point in time early in the game. They couldn't hit anything. Michigan jumped out to an early lead. And it just looked like there's been so much concern about this Michigan team and whether or not they're kind of going into a rut. And there was questions about Yaxel, and you and I were even talking about it on the pod last. It was like, when Michigan needs a bucket, where is that going to come from? Who's that guy going to be? And I think we got some of our answers against Michigan State. But overall, I mean, just with Dusty May aside and the coaching stuff aside, just give me your overall thoughts on what you've seen from the actual style of play between the two teams.
You know, they came into that environment and it looked like they turned it into their home court. Like the fans didn't affect them. Some of the play of the players, we'll get into that with Jeremy Fears, right? None of that stuff affected them. Izzo being on the court and screaming for the first 8 minutes of the game. I thought the dude was going to have a heart attack. I DoorDashed him some baby aspirin just in case, but I was worried about the guy. 71, man. You can't just be out there doing that.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I felt like our guys were just, and this is a shorter word, stoic, man. Like nothing bothered them. And it was different guys over and over. Burnett didn't have a very good game. I don't think Namari did as well as I thought, but Cheddar came out, hit some shots. You know, you got McKinney coming off the bench. I think a couple guys have said, you know, he could start. And other teams, he would be starting. You know, he's our sixth guy getting 22 minutes and came in and looked good, man. They ran right. I think you mentioned the last game. Sometimes it felt like they forced things. I didn't see that. You know, I didn't see Cadeau throwing crazy passes. He was very precise. I know you. What do you think about him? You had some good comments to say about him. What do you think about his performance as a former elite point guard yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I still have the picture here. Don't make me pull it out again.
We don't.
He was again. I said this on the last show that I was just wondering, like, when somebody needed a big shot. Like, I know Yax can put up points. I mean, we've seen it all season long where he can get to 25 fairly easily. But when somebody needs a bucket, like, who do you put? You put the ball in their hands, and you can trust that they can go to work. And to me, it was Elliot Cadeau. He looked cool, calm, poised. I mean, very similar to what we saw from Dusty May before the game, right? Just not rattled, not bothered by the moment. Cadeau was he accounted for 11 of Michigan's final 21 points in the game. He scored 7 of his 17 total points in the last 5 minutes. He hit big shot after big shot. He was a facilitator out there. I thought it was a complete game from Cadeau. And when you can get that kind of performance from your point guard in that type of game, in that type of environment, it's hard not to look at what happened in East Lansing at Breslin and see how that could play out in March Madness, in the tournament, right? Because it's the same type of environment, same type of magnitude for the game. And so I'm a big fan of Elliot Cadeau going into it. You know, I know he's a solid player, but he really showed me something in East Lansing, and I think that's the kind of performance that can really change the trajectory of a season for an individual player, for a team for sure. But man, that's got to be a huge confidence booster. And when I said that to you, I was like, well, I guess there's our bucket getter. You came right back and you talked about Yaxel and the performance he had, and again, another solid performance for a guy who, coming off and working his way back from an injury, looked like he was in a bit of a slump. It wasn't necessarily like big shot after big shot, but he was just steady and consistent the entire game.
Yeah, it felt like to me that at that game, if you needed him to get a bucket, if Dusty May, gave him the nod, he could go get it. But yeah, he played in the flow of the game, but still had a fantastic game. But just like we mentioned last week, say Cadeau is the guy, right? He's your go-to guy, and he has a bad game in the tournament. Now you're out. But Michigan's got, guy after guy. Yeah, they can run 4 or 5 deep and still get 20 points, that's got to be crazy for Dusty May to be able to go through 7 or 8 legitimate guys and be like, any one of these dudes could take over a game. Like, that's going to stack the odds in your favor quite a bit. Another thing that I thought about Cadeau was ironic to me, being around East Lansing, close to it, not in it, for a long time. Push a button, say something funny. Go ahead. I know you were going to push the little button. All right, anyways.
Here, I got one for you.
You addicted to sex? A sex addiction or something?
No idea what that means. But okay, anyways. Izzo has always been the guy with this, with the general point guard, that's leading and smooth and calm, and and they've killed us for years, until Trey Burke, came out there and did it a little bit. But that's always been Izzo's game, is having that point guard extension of himself. And this game we had it, right? And Cadeau never looked rattled, like you said. Dude has handles. He could dribble his way out of a phone booth. You know what I mean? Like, he's legit. And you're right. He makes the right play, whether he's scoring or not. So I think when you said you look at him as the guy who can get the shot, you're right. If you extend it to, because if he doesn't get the shot, he's going to put somebody else in a good position to get a shot, right? Like,
yeah,
dump downs he had in the lane, and he's a smooth passer too. So yeah, I think it was. I was impressed all the way around. The whole thing was. Other than, giving up that lead was kind of, but you're also on the road. Like, it's tough to just steady blow somebody out on the road at home. And what Izzo gave to those dudes. And he undressed that team. That's not the right term, but he killed those guys. Like, right. Say it. Yep. Tell Chantel to take whatever that thing is away from you. It's really, we're losing fans here.
Yaxel, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks. Yeah, to your point, Jared, I thought it was, you knew at some point that Michigan State was going to make a run. Even when Michigan built up, I think they had like an 18-point lead. Yeah. It felt like it was only a matter of time before Michigan State came out and made some sort of run, had some sort of response. And again, credit to their fans, because you could tell that environment was just waiting for something to go off. And you never want to see your team give up an 18-point lead. And, there were some things that happened. You got to give Michigan State some credit, but I think Michigan switched from man to like zone a little bit there in the second half on defense, and they were given some open looks. And it seemed like when they were playing man, they were just locking down. And so,
every position.
Correct. And so overall, you never want to see your team give up an 18-point lead. But the fact that like Michigan not only gave up the lead, but they ended up going down by 1 and then coming back. I think they might have went on a 7-0 run after that. Yeah. And then you work your way to a secure win. To me, that was even further proof of the maturity of this team, the fact that they're battle tested. You saw the same thing against Nebraska earlier in the week, right, where it was neck and neck and Michigan was trailing the whole way, and then they find a way to come out in the final minutes and get the W. And I think these are the types of games that, A, you're going to run into in the Big Ten. You're going to have tough battles like this, but B, for as much as you're going to see it in the Big Ten, you're going to see that much more in March. And I think that this team is not only immensely talented, again, to your point, they are deep. They can get it from a number of different guys. And so you don't have to just rely on one bucket getter, kind of like you saw from Michigan State, right? Where it was Jeremy Fears or it was pretty much nobody. You get a little bit from Cohen Carr there, who's the ups and the vertical.
Yeah, he ignited him with those dunks, and but
there's no question about it. But in terms of being a consistent bucket getter, somebody that can get you points when you need them, outside of Jeremy Fears, they didn't really have anybody. And on the other side of the court, Michigan's got a number of guys where they can get the ball and put it in, whoever's hands, and they can make something happen. And so it's just, you really have to love this team's chances for tournament play. They look like a team that is fully built to not just go deep in the tournament, but they've got to be one of the favorites to win it all. They're number 2 in the AP poll, once again, trailing only Arizona. I don't know, man. It was a really impressive performance. I know that there's some people that have been in kind of a weird headspace because they got used to Michigan beating the shit out of teams early in the season, and these 30-point wins consistently. And then when that stopped happening in conference play, there was a bit of concern that they're turning the ball over too much and they're making mistakes. And I think that there's some merit to that for sure. Like, things are a little more sloppy. Things are going to look like they need to be improved when you're playing tougher competition. But overall, man, I love what I'm seeing from this team. And most importantly, it's a mental toughness. It's a way they play together. It's a way that they don't fracture. They don't get rattled. And those are the qualities that I think will take you very far in tournament play.
100%, man. Pressure cookers, right? I mean, they beat an undefeated team and then beat one of their biggest basketball rivals on their home court. And a 12-point win against a top 10 Big Ten team on their home court is a blowout, right? Like, I mean, that doesn't happen. And that's what I'm saying in this game. If you look at it, they blew them out twice. They went up 18 at the half, gave it all back, and then won by 12. They blew this team out twice in 40 minutes. Like, it seemed like when they wanted to turn it on, they could just turn it on, and I think very impressive, and they definitely have the tools and the talent and the depth. And then again, and then we're gonna get to coaches, and I think you're probably gonna transition there. But then, and you got a coach that's just steady, man, steady, like a dude like you and I were talking before. The kind of coach I'd play for, man. I'd want to play for. Yeah. Right? He just trusts his players, puts them in the best position, doesn't lose his mind, and then we had the opposite on the other side. So.
Well, that's what's crazy to me. And I see a lot of people talking about it in the comment section, talking about the coaching. And, Jared, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about Dusty May. And I think they even said it in the broadcast. I don't know if it was after Michigan had given up the full 18 points or when Michigan State had cut it down drastically. But the sideline reporter was talking about, she overheard, the huddle with Dusty May and the way he was talking with the team over there on the sideline, and said it was just very cool, calm, and collective, very matter-of-fact sort of thing. And you can see that filters over to his team. And again, to your point, on the other side, you've got Tom Izzo. We were talking about this before we went live. I don't watch Michigan State basketball, right? The only time I watch Michigan State is when they're playing Michigan. And a couple times every year, I am reminded of just this guy. Like, he is a Hall of Fame head coach, right? You cannot take away his basketball knowledge and his ability to coach the game. But man, his sideline antics are just so
archaic,
over the top. It just seems like it's almost performative in a way, right? Where it's like, how could somebody really be that way? I don't know, Jared, when you watch Tom Izzo on the sideline and he's screaming and he's yelling and he's losing his mind and he's 3 feet on the court, almost serving as a 6th defender out there. I mean, what's going through your mind when you see that?
It's an old school coaching mentality that's not around anymore. You know what I mean? Those days are gone. I guess I wouldn't be able to play for that kind of coach anymore, man. Like, I've had coaches that have kind of been like that before, and it's crazy. Now it's like, come on, man. At some point, you got to calm down a little bit. Like, and like you said, you're out on the court. I mean, you're screaming at the refs. It's just, and then you got on the other side, you got Dusty May. And we had a saying in the military. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast, and it doesn't make any sense because it's a military term. Exactly. But it's just steady, right? Like, if you're steady, you're going to get where you need to be, and you're going to do it a lot faster than if you were. He just seems chaotic, and I don't know, as a player on the floor, like what you're looking to your coach, and he's up the ref's ass for 5 minutes. Like,
yeah,
Michigan, they get guidance, whatever. It's
not
my style.
in some ways, I can see how it's like an effort to try to, you're down 18, you're trying to rally your team, you're trying to.
Yeah, he got a T, didn't he? Didn't he get a T?
I don't know if he did get a T. I don't think he did. I mean, somebody in the comments can correct us. I'm not sure
that
he
should have gotten one a couple times, and I've seen coaches do that, right? Get a T, fire their team up. But he probably didn't want to give this Michigan team any points. You know what I mean? They were already whooping his ass, so I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But then he said, this is after comments too. What did you think about his comments after Michigan played a good game? I guess, and then just goes off and the refs and my team. No credit given. Like, you know what I mean? It's a poor loser, dude. He's been this way forever. Grabbing, snatching players up. Remember that stuff? Grabbing players in the like.
Oh yeah,
he's a terrible loser, dude. Like when he loses, he cannot handle it. He's still talking shit today about Dusty May should call him. Like, bro, what? That game was Friday. Like,
well, okay, yeah. So he did get one at the very end, and I think that was when everybody. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that was when essentially everybody knew the game was over, and you could just see him. He was walking down the sideline, and he was just saying the same thing over and over. I think at that point he was like, "Screw it, we're not going to win this game anyway. I'm going to let my thoughts known." But yeah, he's been like that for a while, and there was a point in time where like. I used to value that type of coaching where I thought like, I love a guy who's animated on the sideline. I love a guy who's going to get in somebody's ass. I love that type of coach. But then you watch a guy like Dusty May and the way he operates, that cool, calm, collective demeanor, and you watch the way that the team is reflective of that, and it's hard not to love that style of play as well. But in terms of the comments after the game, we'll talk a little bit about that because Dusty May had some things to say. And I think that this will segue into, I've seen Jeremy Fears brought up a number of times here on the podcast. We're going to talk about that here. Dusty May was asked about it today. He really didn't beat around the bush too much. He was very straightforward. He was asked directly about the trip, where Jeremy Fears was sort of running down the court. I think he had kicked the ball out. Yax was going to he was going to run out to the wing to try to play defense. And I think Fears had stuck his foot out. Dusty May was asked specifically about that incident, and he said something to the effect of look, there were a lot of things that were going out there during the 40 minutes of the game. He praised his players for keeping their cool, not sort of buying into it. But yeah, man, when you go and you look at the film, Jeremy Fears, and this has been a big discussion, a big debate on social media, Jeremy Fears, his style of play, there were, I don't know, 5 or 6 different occasions at least that I saw where he did something borderline dirty, if not completely dirty. Jared, you and I were talking about it before we went on the live. And it's a shame because Jeremy Fears, I think he's the closest thing to an NBA player that Michigan State has. But the biggest problem I have with the way he plays basketball, and I've said this now a number of times, is that it's like a gimmick. It's a gimmick style. And there's some people today that are trying to pass it off as high IQ basketball. To me, it's just dirty Bush League type of play. It's like, maybe I'm old school, but I appreciate guys that just play the game the way it's supposed to be played. And all this, head games and trying to trick people into doing shit. I just think it's Bush League play. Jared, what was your thought on, I guess, the topic of the day, the way that Dusty May said, hey, the tape is the tape. There's 40 minutes of it. Go look at it. Thoughts on Jeremy Fears? Are you buying the fact that he's a dirty player?
So I watch a lot of Michigan State basketball, just geographical, and my friends, unfortunately, aren't as intelligent as our fans and you and I, so they picked the wrong team. But no, he's not. Honestly, I've never seen him be like that, and that's why I was watching. I was kind of shocked, but then I realized he's having a bad game, struggling at home, super high expectations. His last 2 games, he balled out. I think he had a 17-point, 17-assist game a couple weeks ago. He's been balling. And so he comes in, he struggles. He's getting run off the floor twice on his own floor. And I think he got a little frustrated, man. And the one move he did twice, which I used to see point guards do a lot, was that dribble down the court and kind of get in the way and slow down. But as you and I discussed, exactly, shake your head, I agree with you 100%. That's a dirty, gross, stupid, it's just a shitty play. And it's not legal anymore. They made rule changes for it. So all the people that I saw, like you said on your social media, saying that's just smart basketball. No, it's illegal basketball. You and I went through the rule book. It should be either an offensive foul or a no call, right? Yeah. Whether you get ran over or not. And what were the rules? You can't move to the side to get in somebody's way, or if you're in front of them, you can't stop unexpectedly for no reason, which would be your point. Half court. You have no reason to lock the brakes up at half court. You know what I mean? Like,
well, not only lock the brakes up at half court, but if you look at if you look at the replay and his path, like Fears was over on the sideline and then had to dribble almost to mid court to get in front of Mara, beat him to the spot, and then turn the e-brake on, and Mara runs over him, and somebody's trying to tell me that that's a high IQ play. I don't know, man. To me, it just seems like a recipe to get people injured. And I used this analogy earlier when I was having this debate with somebody. Like, you look at what Will Cheddar did, right, on that 3-point attempt where he took the shot, or he did the pump fake, and then I can't remember who the defender was, got him off his feet, and then Will Cheddar jumps about 5 feet off to the side and makes contact, right? Like, you could say, okay, he got the guy off his feet. I guess that's a high IQ play because he did go to the line. He did get 3 free throws.
That was a bad call. That shouldn't have been
100%. That's a questionable call at best. And I think it's a questionable play at best. But the reason that I use that one specifically is that you can look at all of these plays as isolated incidents and just say, well, that one's not that bad. That one's not that bad. But if Will Cheddar spends 40 minutes a night, 8 to 10 plays a game doing that, game after game, now it's not just one play. It's not a high IQ thing. Now this is just kind of who you are, and this is the way you play. And I've seen some other people, whether it's a USC game or I think there was, I can't remember what the other game was, but other fans have been pulling up things of Jeremy Fears sort of doing these things in different games. And to me, it does seem like a pattern with this guy where that's like a part of his game where people want to chalk it up to being high IQ and he's playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. And it's like, okay, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is if he keeps getting away with this shit, he's going to injure somebody. I mean, you got a 7-footer running down the court and you got a tiny guy gets in front of him and like hits the e-brake and trips over him. I mean, that's such a dumb way to potentially injure somebody to try to draw a foul. And we saw a lot of that stuff from him the other night. And so I thought that was disappointing because outside of that, I thought his game was pretty impressive. Like he put the team on his back. He was sort of willing them back into the game. And so, but the problem is the conversation isn't about that. It's about all this other shit. And, I think that's unfortunate for him anyway.
Yes, I mean, especially, you're a 7-footer, a big guy running down the court, and you know that they changed this rule because of safety. That's why they made the rule that you can't do what he was doing, jumping in front of people and stopping. So you don't think that's going to happen. It's a rule, like blatant rule, and then he gets the call. I mean, yeah. Larry, correct.
Larry from the YouTube page says that's like
where I play ball. Larry.
That's like 40 and over rec league moves. I've been looking into. I'm trying to find a court around. I'm trying to find a court around here in Ann Arbor where there's like a gym that I can go in and play. There's a YMCA that's like 8 miles away, and they've got open gym in the mornings, and there's a chance
that you get run off the court.
Jared, does this look like a guy that gets run off the court? I mean, look at this vertical. Look at this hang time.
You had to cut the bottom so that we couldn't see that your foot's still on the floor.
This is a guy. This guy doesn't get run off the court. This guy runs the court. That's how that works.
His name is Gabe Owens or Owners or whatever the hell.
What is Gabe Owners?
Yeah, exactly. That's him.
I've got this itch. I've got this itch to get back on the court, man, and try to like reclaim, some of the I used to have. Yeah, it could turn out. So that was the post game comments from Dusty May. I mean, obviously he's proud of his team, but he did think that there were some dirty plays going on. If you go back and watch the game, or even when you're watching it live, you could see some of this stuff happening in real time. Tom Izzo had a bit of a different take on it in his, his Monday press conference with the media. He did say that he had talked to Jeremy Fears and had addressed some of those things, some of the issues. He didn't say specifically what they were, but Tom Izzo's standpoint was he saw some of the refereeing that he didn't like. He talked to Jeremy Fears about some of the stuff, but Michigan was also doing some things, and that's just the way it goes in a heated rivalry. And there's one area I think where, look, I don't want to give him credit, but he said something that I thought like, that's nice to hear. I like that. So I'm going to give Tom Izzo a little bit of credit here. He said, where is the quote at? Damn it. Let me pull up the quote. He said, quote, "We got beat by a better team. We knew we had to play our best game, and we didn't do that." Do you see how simple that is? We got beat by a better team. We knew we had to play our best game, and we didn't do that. And Jared, like, that's what I think is so frustrating about this whole thing is it just seems like, at least from a fan base standpoint, and to a certain extent, it comes from the players, but I think it's more so from the fans. Like, nobody knows how to take a loss anymore. Like, there's no team out there, and we saw this a lot with Ohio State. Like, there wasn't a single time that Michigan beat Ohio State over the last 4 or 5 years, where it was just, hey, Michigan was better than us that day. There's always got to be some sort of deal. There's always got to be some sort of conspiracy. There's always got to be a reason. Somebody got screwed somewhere. I thought it was just nice to hear Tom Izzo say, look, they were the better team. We had to play great. We didn't play great. Now we're moving on. Like, why is that so hard for people to do that?
Because he's a sore loser. So it's facts. In the heat of after a loss, like I used to be a sore loser back in the day.
Oh, same.
Now I'm just glad to play the game or be alive. So it doesn't really matter to me. But and he's 71. He should be a little bit more grateful. But anyways, he's just a sore loser, man. And he takes that right to the it's how he's always been, man. There's history of him not shaking hands of. Famously Butler, when Butler beat them in the Final Four, like he got roasted many years ago for that. Like he's been this way. It's not new. You know what I mean? And it's a rivalry, and he hates losing to Michigan. I get that. Oh, Jesus.
Listen, go Blue MFer. You're getting look
at our research, bro.
These things aren't going to get me tonight. Not tonight. Not today. Probably not tomorrow either. Good effort, though.
In a couple weeks,
why we're putting it on the screen. Tyrone Gardner, absolutely. He 100% gets it. 10-inch vertical. I don't know. Is that good? I feel like
horrible. You were just giving yourself props. Like, hell yeah.
Look, man.
Chris,
I'm trying to imagine how high I get off the ground when I jump. 10 inches. Yeah, that might be where I'm at. That might be where I'm at.
I'd bet the under on that.
You're a dunker, though, right? When we were
in the day, my friend. Back in the day.
When we were playing at Chrysler, didn't you attempt it, or am I?
No. Oh God, no. That was you tried. That was your imagination.
Are you sure you didn't go up and touch rim?
No, I would have been in the hospital, my friend.
That is my biggest fear, by the way. That's my biggest fear about trying to get back into like basketball. Is
it's such a
the last thing I need. Turned 42 this month. The last thing I need is like another an ankle injury, a hip injury, something that could take me out. That could put me on the fast track to like an Amigo card.
You're not. I sprained my ankle, and I was at a military school, officer candidate school. I was 35. Dude, that was like a 2-week ordeal. Yeah. Remember when you were in high school, you'd roll your ankle, tape that bitch up. 2 days later, you're out there hooping. You were hooping the next day. Limping.
It ain't like that now.
Dude, no, it was like 2 weeks, bro. Like it was bad news.
I do want to ask, though, I just want to stay on the Jeremy Fears thing for just one more minute or so, because I did ask you about this before we got on the show here, but what are your thoughts on that? I mean, some of the things that we saw him do, and you even said it, like you don't view him as a dirty player. There's this pushback on it where, some people view what he does as a high IQ type thing. I mean, what is your thought on that? Are these high IQ moves that you saw the other night, or is that dirty basketball? Like, where do you draw the line?
To me, it's dirty basketball because there's a rule.
Pump fake, you want to get somebody into the air so you can draw a foul. So there are elements of that. But I guess in your mind, where does it cross the line between high IQ and now you're just playing Bush League?
To me, it's a blatant violation of the rules. And I get it. When you play basketball, you're going to do little things, and within the flow of the game to upset the other opponent, whatever. But these are blatant rules. You're at midcourt on one of them. And I was even upset, like with Cheddar. I'm like, bro, that's weak. Like when you pump fake and lean 4 foot to the right, again, they got rid of that rule for a reason because it slows the game down. It's cheap. Like you said, it's Bush League. It's not good basketball to me. Coaches can praise it all day, whatever you want. But to me as a player, and you as a savant of basketball, like we know that's not how you play the game. It's poetry. It's beautiful, right? Like Cheddar's was weak. Fears was just frustrated that he was losing when he was trying to trip people, stopping in front of he stopped in front of Morrow twice, I believe, during that game. And then we haven't even talked about the flagrant when he basically punched the axle and then said he was going for the ball. That ball is in a 6'9" guy's hand. He's 2 feet in front of you and he's got it going towards the air. You were never getting that ball.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the big outside of Michigan winning and shout out to women's basketball as well, because they went into East Lansing and got the W as well. Michigan just beating the shit out of Michigan State all weekend long. That's what they do. But outside of celebrating that win, once again, the one of the biggest talking points is about Jeremy Fears and sort of a questionable style of play. And I just think that's unfortunate because I don't know, man. Maybe it's just a product of the time we're in and that, social media exists and that so many people have so much to say about everything that happens and they can sort of drive the narratives now. But it just gets to a point where it feels a little bit exhausting. Like I said earlier, where it just can't ever be like what Izzo said there. It took him a long way to get to it, but where he eventually got to, hey, Michigan was just the better team. We didn't play well enough. Like ultimately that's where this lands. And I just don't get why more people can't do that. The fact that, I mean, there's people talking about Dusty May cheating and tampering, and there, there's all these rumors that are starting.
Burnett. Yeah,
there's I don't know that he tried to tamper with with a kid from Purdue, and then Morez Johnson, that there was some tampering there. There's all these rumors being floated, and honestly, I don't know.
Is there even tampering anymore? Is tampering even a thing?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know.
Andrew Marsh just told us he's coming back to football, and we didn't even know he was leaving.
Well, hey,
and you were wrong on that. You spun that so bad.
Did I? How was that? You were supposed to tell me something before we went on the live. What was that? Is that appropriate for the show or no?
Oh,
you sent me a text. You said, hey, I'll tell you before we get on the live.
I was going to talk to you about a picture I sent you, that the NFL thing that has nothing to do with college football.
Has nothing to do with this. Okay, well, I mean,
it was an NFL thing.
So overall, let's end it there with the basketball team. Matt Kirby points it out. Michigan State will meet up again in Ann Arbor at Chrysler March 8th. And you talk about a highly anticipated rematch that's coming down the pipe. This is going to be a big game to close out the regular season with two teams that are going to be at the top of the conference. And I think that there are going to be some interesting storylines going into this one because Dusty May had some things to say after the game. Tom Izzo didn't seem to be too interested in engaging in it, but it really feels like overall that this rivalry is as good as it's ever been. And I think that that's the best part about this, man, is that was a fun basketball game to watch. The environment was great. The game was great. And I look forward to round 2 on March 8th. There's no doubt about it. Anything else you want to say about Michigan basketball? Again, sitting at number 2 in the AP poll, the latest AP poll, before we transition to some football news, as we are 36 minutes into the show. Tony Petrosky hopping in here late saying Jeremy Fears is a thug.
The only thing I want to say about basketball as a girl dad, and we touched on it, and maybe we don't give them enough credit, is the women's basketball team. Like you said, that game was incredible. Michigan State actually almost won it on a half-court heave at the end of
that. I saw that on social.
94-91, like super exciting game. So expand your horizons, gentlemen and ladies that are on here, and check out this women's team. They're pretty good, man. I think Vanderbilt was a pretty high-ranked team. They just barely lost to not too long ago. So they're a pretty legit team too. So
yeah, no doubt.
Good in Ann Arbor. Hockey's good.
Right. They're number 8 in the country. That's something that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show, because I have a question about that I want to ask you. But you did touch on Andrew Marsh. Look, you and I had a debate about this, and I took a lot of heat from some of the fans here saying, why would Andrew Marsh announce his return? He never entered the transfer portal. It just doesn't make any sense. Jared, and I told you time and time again, I said, Michigan will announce it. It doesn't matter that he didn't enter the portal. This is what happens now. You have to make the official announcement that they're back, or it's not official. And today, before you make your point, today, once again, I was proven right, as Michigan and Andrew Marsh made it official by announcing his return. He's got the number 3 jersey on, so the number change is official as well. But Andrew Marsh, the All-American freshman wide receiver, is back for another year. Jared, I guess, why were you so surprised to see this? Why didn't you think
I wasn't surprised for one?
Oh, you were surprised.
Take this as my resignation from the show, because you are
let's
making things up now.
No. We had a bet on this. In fact, one of the fans even pointed it out. They said, didn't Chris and Dr. J have a bet on this? And yes, we did. We had a bet that Michigan would make an official announcement about Andrew Marsh's return.
Oh, you're ridiculous.
All right, look at here. Okay, let's do this. CJ Frazier, because I saw you guys, having your little bro moment on in the comments section here. I saw this going down. So CJ says it's not like he had any other options. And what he's referring to is Andrew Marsh never entered the transfer portal by the time the deadline passed. So I guess ipso facto, that means he's staying with the University of Michigan. But does it really, just like you asked, Jared, like, is there such a thing as different? Okay, so what?
He was never in it. He's not eligible for the NFL. So where the hell was he going to go?
I don't know, Jared.
Closed, so you can't transfer. He's not going to the NFL because he's not eligible. So
listen,
where the hell else was he going to go? That's like me telling you, hey, Chris, I went and took a shower and got wet. No shit. We're just saying obvious things that he's back on the
sex.
Listen here.
Whatever
First,
that guy's saying.
I want to make it clear that I'm not suggesting at all that Andrew Marsh was ever going to leave. This is more about just like trying to win an argument for argument's sake. What I'm saying to you is, you're saying where was he going to go? I'm saying to you that in today's age of college football, you can't take anything for granted. You can't take anything to the bank. You can't say just because the portal closed, where was he going to go? I'll tell you where he was going to go. Maybe a legal team, maybe people supporting him are going to file some sort of lawsuit and restraining order with the NCAA for trying to prevent him from leaving because some deal he thought he was going to get from Michigan he didn't get. Jared, we've got guys coming back after playing like 8 years in the NBA trying to play college basketball games again and getting judges involved. So why would you think that simply because the portal window closed that this guy wasn't able to transfer? Again, I'm not saying he was going to or that was even part of the story. I'm just saying that until an official announcement comes, and we know that that's what they do because Michigan has been doing it. They did it for a number of players. It was real puzzling why they hadn't done it for Andrew Marsh at this point. Was it a coincidence that it just happened to come on his birthday today? Maybe, maybe not. But ultimately, anyway, the announcement is officially here. Why announcement? Why make the announcement at all if he never entered the portal? What's the point?
Right. So you're right, 100%, Chris. You nailed this one. But let's talk about football now. So let's talk about the spring captains or something that I did this for the fans because you're not paying
well, hold on.
Like, we don't even want to hear about this anymore. They're like, let's talk football.
Hold on a second. You don't have anything to say about the Andrew Marsh thing? You just want to gloss over it?
It really, does it even matter?
Well, it matters because I was right. Did you freeze up?
Got frozen there for a minute.
Okay, I thought you were just staring at me. I was waiting for a response.
I said no. I don't care. Whatever. Like
it matters because I was right. But if you'd like to move on, if you want to talk spring, okay. If you want to talk spring game, if you want to talk captains, what is it you want to move on to?
I thought some of the fans were talking about the captains. There were some questions.
Let's see it. Hold on a second.
Terrible Wi-Fi. I'm good. You got me now?
I got you now. Yeah.
Sorry.
Brian Kirsch from the Facebook page says, why even sign the letter of intent? Nothing is final, I guess. But I mean, that's part of it, right? You can sign it. And then guess what? You can ask for your release. You can sign it. And then you can, Brian, you can sign your letter of intent. You can enroll in school. You can go sit in a couple classes, and then you can enter the portal, and you can be playing for another team in like a week. So Michigan
has a guy, right?
We know a guy on Michigan's roster that's doing that. So that's why when people are like, "Well, you can't do this because this and this happened," I'm like, you can do whatever the hell you want to do in today's college athletics game. You can do whatever you want to do because the reality is, the NCAA is as good as gone. They've got no real power. And if a player wants to like flex their muscle and utilize what they feel are their rights, they can do that. They've got the finances to do it. They've got the representation to do it. And we're seeing it happen all across college athletics now. Again, there's examples of this in college basketball. You see it in college football where guys are filing restraining orders and there's contracts that are being broken, and then schools that are trying to threaten lawsuits against players. It's kind of a mess. And so point being that until both sides make something official in public, there's always going to be that small suspicion and wondering why not. That's all, Jared.
Yeah. Sorry.
God, is your
Wi-Fi right now?
Oh my goodness.
I don't know what's going on. I must be having a snowstorm out here or something.
I might have to have somebody else pop on the show here.
My daughter said she said it's snowing and the Wi-Fi is slowing down. So I told her to move it somewhere.
Kick her ass off the internet. She's taking up value.
I said, are you off the Wi-Fi? She said, I am. Yeah. So calm down, man. I checked.
All right. Let's move to spring captains. We'll move to spring captains. A big announcement that came out today. Michigan announcing spring captains, which I thought was pretty cool. And then a number of guys that are on the leadership council, which again, I thought was pretty awesome. This is something that head coach Kyle Whittingham has been doing now for a number of years out at Utah. Pretty cool to see it come to Michigan and see these guys that have been listed and named as captains and then on the leadership council. Before we get to the actual date of the spring game and what we're hoping to see there, Jared, I mean, were you surprised by any of the guys that have been named as spring captains or some of the names that you've seen pop up on the council?
I mean, it's spring captains, right? So it's not who's going to be the captains on the team. So no, I thought it was cool. I think he, Witt, he acknowledged coming in who's the first person he said he had to talk to, Bryce Underwood. Right. So obviously, if that's the number one kid you're going to, it's not just talent. He's the leader of that team. He could very well be as a sophomore. So yeah, I thought that was smart. getting Andrew Marsh in there, smart. I really love that leadership council idea. Like I think that's a great idea. It's a great way to get a bunch of voices heard. And, you know, I thought it was pretty cool. I think, and he's stressing leadership, right? He's stressing accountability, which is something that this team probably didn't get a lot of, unfortunately, in the last couple of years, maybe. Seems like the head coach is a little busy with other things, and seemed like, and not even just his personal issues, but it seemed like a little fractured between the assistant coaches, you know, and Sharon now when you look back on it. So,
well, and even when you look at who said it, I can't see. That's the thing. I can't remember his name. The player that entered the transfer portal, wide receiver Simpson, I think was his last name.
Yeah, from Massachusetts.
Yeah, the UMass transfer that was on Michigan's roster. Maybe. Yeah. But look, if he said what he said on the way out, pretty good chance that he wasn't the only player that was feeling like things were just a little bit off and that certain decisions were being made because Sharon Moore was trying to cover his tracks. And so, yeah, man, when you look at the whole situation, like in its entirety, it just seems like it was incredibly toxic, what was going on within the building. And then fast forward to this, you see these guys that are being named spring captains. You see the leadership council for spring. It's got guys like Rod Moore, Zeke Berry, Cam Brandt, Trey Pierce, Blake Frazier, Andrew Marsh, Eno Etta, Bryce Underwood, Jordan Marshall, Zach Marshall, Jake Guarnera, Jair Hill, Nico Andrighetto, is that how you say it? Mason Curtis and Andrew Sprague. So a solid collection of guys that are there. I agree with you, Jared. I think that this is just further indication that it goes in line with what I said I believe this team is going to be moving forward. That I think that for the first time since that 2023 season, we are going to see a return to like real leadership on this team where, you know, this is something that I've noticed just being around them. Like, not to take anything away from them. They're all great guys. But during the championship run, like you could be around this roster and you could point out and you could see like who the guys were. And there were certain guys that just carried themselves and really wore that leadership badge well. Blake Corum being one of them. JJ McCarthy was one of them. Mike Sainer still was one of them. Like there were certain guys that Mike Barrett was another guy, just veterans, guys who were part of the team. They had a big role on the team. They took ownership over what was happening. And I think that under Sharon Moore, some of that really left the building. And I think Kyle Whittingham is doing his best to bring it in. And so when you see some of these names popping up, and I get it, it's only spring captains, but to see Bryce Underwood, taking on that role, I mean, you got to love that, right? For a guy heading into his sophomore year, he's got a year of starting reps under his belt. This is the type of thing. This is the reason why you go out and get a Kyle Whittingham. I know it's stuff on paper. It's names on paper. We'll see what it translates to in the fall. But I love shit like this. I think that this is great for the team overall. You've got some guys now who feel a sense of responsibility to make sure that things are held to a certain standard. Are you with me or are you frozen again?
Dude,
are you there?
I don't know what's going on. This is why I'm like, I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear. I heard your whole thing, but I agree with you. I hope that it continues to when they pick the actual team captains. You know what I'm saying?
This is brutal. This might be the worst show we've ever had. This might be the worst show we've ever had.
I don't know what's going on with the Wi-Fi down here. It's crazy.
I say something very eloquent, and I wait for.
I heard it,
and it's just.
I heard it. I just responded to you. I heard it.
No, but what I get is just you staring back at me like a
I'm in awe, dude. That wasn't frozen. That was awe. I was just like,
I'm like, is this guy pissed? Is he stroking out? What's going on here?
No.
See, Ralph sees it. Do I need to call an ambulance? What's happening? Good Lord.
The crazy part is I can see it all on my end. So I'm like, what the hell's wrong with him? Yours looks frozen to me. I'm like, what's wrong with Chris? He just said something and stopped.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know nothing about football, but if you want to boot.
Oh, boy. Yep. Can't say no to that, Chris. See ya. Your wife's on the show now.
Okay. All right. Where do we go from here? Let me see if there's any questions in here before I go on to this last thing, as we're at 48 minutes, because there's something that I want to bring up to close the show, and I don't know how much conversation there's going to be there, but it's relevant. It's relevant to what's going on now, relevant to what has been going on. Ralph Lewis is asking if you smell burnt toast. This was back. This was
I'm a doctor, Ralph. I know these things. No, if you guys want to know what it was, I actually just texted my daughter who was upstairs using the Wi-Fi on her phone, her iPad, and the TV right there. And I said, I told you to turn it off. We're going on the podcast. So should go better now. I apologize to the
This is
fans.
a great one from Matt Kirby. He asks, "Is Andrew Marsh still on the team?"
It didn't say anything. It just said 147 LFG. It didn't say committed. Didn't say anything.
They didn't
Very
say
vague.
technically
Very
that he
vague.
was back. They did
Very
leave
vague.
it open. I'm not really seeing a lot of questions. Let me keep scanning through here.
No, there was a couple comments about the number 19, two of them, because we knew who they were. Yeah, I didn't want to walk you into that. Trust me.
I'm not going into that. Fred Paulson from the Facebook page. He says, "Game on the line, guys. Which guy do you want taking the big shot?" So we're shifting it back to basketball a little bit.
Yeah.
Jared, I think that's a fair question. I mean, game on the line. Let's say same scenario, right? It's tight in the Breslin. You got to get a bucket. I mean, whose hands are you putting the ball in?
I think Cadeau, right? He's the best ball handler, and I think he puts you in the best position. Now, the beauty of it is, I mean, you could run pick and if it last second play, I'm running pick and roll with Yaks, or you're pick and roll Johnson. Like, you got some great pick and roll guys, and then you trust Cadeau to make the right decision, right? Am I going to take it to the basket, pull up, shoot a jumper? He's got a couple guys talked about his floaters pretty deadly, or like we mentioned, he's going to find the right play. If the other guy's open, he'll give it up. So I think you want to keep it because. To me, you don't want to put it in anyone else's hands. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know why.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's where I'm going.
Earned it last game. He definitely earned it last game.
And I think CJ made this point on the last live. Trey McKinney is becoming that guy. He stepped up and made some big shots against Michigan State, and he's becoming a guy that you can start to count on, especially as a true freshman. I mean, he's playing really well. Yaks is a guy that I like him more when he's down in the paint, right, and close to the rim. I know that he can shoot from the outside, but I like him more in that role. But again, to your point earlier in the show, man, they're just so deep and they've got so many guys that can do a lot of things. I mean, you got a 7-footer down low that can make some things happen. It's just, it truly is a complete team. And, it's like an NBA caliber type team that they're working with, but I would go with Cadeau for sure. I don't see at least any other questions at the moment. Let me go back down to the bottom and see if I missed any here. Most recent.
Who will be Michigan's starting field goal kicker?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure. I mean, they brought
9,000 guys now, don't they?
Yeah, they brought the guy in from where the hell did he come from?
I mean, they're not messing around on special teams now, right? They got special teams coordinator. They brought in a defensive coordinator to be the assistant special teams coordinator. Like,
I think they brought in the field goal kicker from Pitt, if I'm not mistaken. But they brought in 3 or 4 long snappers, and I'm not exaggerating either. I think it's literally 3 or 4 long snappers they brought in. I think they got another punter that's in. I mean, Kerry Coombs is doing whatever he's got to do to make sure that special teams is not going to be an issue in 2026. And again, I've said this before, but you can overlook special teams and you can wonder, like, why is Michigan doing this, or why are they doing that, or how many guys have they got to add? We saw particularly last season, how bad things can get when you don't have your special team shit figured out. And so they're determined to make sure that's not going to be an issue this year. And I'm all for it. I mean, when you look at the roster, and now that we can confirm officially that Andrew Marsh is coming back, offensively, defensively, I get it. They lost a lot of guys, or a decent amount of guys on the defensive side of the ball. You look at Rayshon Benny and Derek Moore and, what it looks like on the defensive end, or on the defensive line, what it looks like missing Moore and missing guys like Jayshawn Barham. Like, they're going to have some guys that are going to step up, but offensively and defensively, at least on paper, I think that this is a team that can compete in the Big Ten. And if you can compete in the Big Ten legitimately, you can get yourself in the college football playoff. And we've all agreed that that's the standard. Year one for Kyle Whittingham, a guy that's got that much coaching experience. There is no honeymoon period. The honeymoon period ends week 1 when the season kicks off against Western Michigan. The expectation is that the Wolverines are going to be in the college football playoff. And, we've said it before. You look at what Indiana and Kurt Signetti's done. I mean, the patience for a turnaround and the patience for a ramp-up period with a program like Michigan is, you're not going to have a very long leash. The expectations are high.
Yeah. And he brought in some good guys. They kept majority of the class. They lost a few pieces to the recruiting class. They had a decent recruiting class last year, right? That one was like 6th in the nation last year. So you got some players. And like we mentioned, when you left that schedule up for like 45 minutes and CJ and Matt Kirby and all those guys were having heart attacks about it. Remember that? That was a terrible show. But anyways,
what is Gabe Owners?
Exactly. That's probably what saved that show. But anyways, we're only asking him to go 500 in 4 games, right? There's 4 big games that we identified that are pretty. I mean, Penn State could tough, but you got 4 big games. We're asking him to go 500, And if he goes 500 in those games and wins the rest that he should be favored in, you make the college football playoff. Like, period. That 10 and a 2-loss Michigan team, I think, makes it because they're going to have 2 big wins if they get to that 10-2 mark, right? You're going to have 2 top 10 wins, so
it's a big 4. It's a big 4.
It's a big 4, and it's a struggle. But we're not saying you got to win all of them.
Yeah.
You got to go 500, man.
And honestly, man, I know Penn State is at home. If it was on the road, I might feel a little bit differently about it. But, you've got the unknown with Penn State. You've got the unknown with Michigan State. I know that they're trash year in and year out, but you don't know what Fitz is going to do. You bring in a new coach. Maybe there's some new energy there. Maybe you put Jeremy Fears in some shoulder pads and he's out there trying to just play dirty and get some guys in. I don't know what you do if you're Michigan State, but you have Oklahoma at home. You have Indiana at home. You go on the road and you play Oregon. You go on the road and you play Ohio State. And then you throw in Penn State and Michigan State and some of these other games. And it's a gauntlet. It's got to be one of the most difficult schedules in the country for Kyle Whittingham in the first year. But what's that?
Just got to defend home turf. Win at home.
It's really the name of the game.
There's no way in hell they're going to be favored at Oregon or at Ohio State. So you could lose a couple games.
I wouldn't say there's no way in hell. You
think Michigan's going to be favored at Oregon or at Ohio State? I don't believe that. Not next year.
I think it depends on what the difference is this time they're bringing back the offensive line is going to be far more experienced. You've got Bryce Underwood, who's now a starter for an entire year, coming back as a sophomore with experience. You've got
Moore and Julian Sand are better quarterbacks than Underwood right now, and they will be next year.
I
believe they will be.
We'll see. I think that's smart money, but I wouldn't be surprised to see. Listen, Bryce Underwood went all season, all year without a quarterbacks coach. They brought in a quarterbacks coach. It's clear that Kyle Whittingham thinks a lot of him and knows he can develop him. I don't know what we're going to get out of Bryce Underwood. I can tell you
this kid last year.
It's not going to be worse than what we saw last year. And if he takes as big of a step as we think he's going to take with a quarterbacks coach and a full year of starting experience under his belt, is it a given that Julian Sain's going to be better? I'm not exactly sure.
So here's the deal, right? Like Tony Petrosky even said this. When I say favor, I'm speaking of, gambling and you don't understand that nefarious, dirty world that we live in. Like, if they're undefeated going into that Oregon game, because it's at Oregon, they will not be favored. That's just how in a big rivalry game, even if Oregon goes in with 1 loss, Vegas is not going to favor Michigan. Tony nailed it. They're going to do 1.5, which means it's basically a push, but they're still going to favor the home team. The home team just gets in a top 10 matchup. It's very rare that you see, unless it's, number ones, even when number ones on there, like Alabama playing Georgia and stuff, they still give it usually to the home team, Let
me see what does Oregon got on the schedule in 2026?
Oh, I don't know. They're 4, right? They're 4th preseason, I think. I know. It's. Are they 1? They're number 1, aren't they?
I don't know. There hasn't been any preseason ranking out yet.
Yeah, there has.
I don't think so. I've seen way too early rankings, but I haven't seen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The way too early, which is generally pretty close.
Anything
the portal's closing shit now, so it's not not gonna have that mass change like last year when all those guys left after spring game. You're not gonna have that. There's no portal.
Preseason
point, they could just leave, but whatever, All
right, here's who Oregon's got 2026. They've got Boise State, then they go on the road to Oklahoma State, then they got Portland State at home. Then you've got an early, tough road matchup against USC on the road, back home against UCLA, Nebraska at Illinois, home against Northwestern, at Ohio State, Michigan, and then they finish out with a road test against Michigan State and then against Washington. And so,
Ohio State, Michigan back to back.
Yeah, they go on the road, play Ohio week, and then they got Michigan. No bye week in between, at least on the schedule that I'm looking at here. So
that's not fun.
Is that accurate? Brutal. Is that accurate?
That's brutal. Sounds about right where Michigan would be. Yeah, because we play them towards the second. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So they're at Ohio State, and then they fly home, and we come visit.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's the schedule I have here in front of me. So I know that the Big Ten just released schedules. I think that this is updated, but Oregon should be solid. I'm just saying, will it happen? I don't think so. But, nobody really expected the wheels to come off for Penn State either. I mean, this was a team, you talk about preseason rankings. Where the hell was Penn State ranked preseason this time last year?
Top 3.
Right? They were top 3. And then what ended up happening, right?
Their coach finally
head coach got fired. It completely went sideways. And so Overall, the reason I say that is I don't know. I expect a lot from this team. Do I think they can get to 10 wins? I do. I'm not sure how good Bryce Underwood is going to be, but I expect the progress to be significant from where it was last year, just given all of the different variables that he's going to have coming into this season. And then I do think it's a big deal. I mean, dude, look at the wide receivers. He's got back All-American wide receiver Andrew Marsh. You've got J.J. Buchanan in the mix now, who, was kind of that hybrid tight end wide receiver, but it sounds like they're going to be playing him at wide receiver because they've got tight end options at Michigan. And then you got guys like Celeste Moa. You've got, Kendrick Bell is still on the roster. They've got a number of options that are there. You bring in the transfer from is it Jamie French from Texas. So they put some weapons around him. You've got Jordan Marshall back. You've got Bryson Cusdahl back there. You've got Savion Hyder back there. I think this offense is going to be significantly better than what it was last year because not only is the personnel better, but they've also got an offensive coordinator that seems like a significant upgrade from what they had in Chip Lindsey. So overall, man, it feels like this offense is positioned to be one of the best in the conference. And if that can happen,
Babalola back, people keep forgetting about Babalola. Like they were saying he was going to start as a freshman. You know what I mean? So get him back healthy, top 10 guy. Like that's So,
I'm excited. A lot of intrigue for this 2026 season, what it's going to look like. I still like when I see Kyle Whittingham out on the recruiting trail wearing the Block M shirt, because he's been at Utah for so long and he's standing with recruits. It's still weird to me to get used to it. But there's no doubt that once the season kicks off, that this is going to be one of the most closely watched teams in the country, I think, because of what Whittingham is bringing to Ann Arbor and then what the expectation is. I mean, I get it didn't really live up to a lot of people's expectations last year with Bryce Underwood, but, this guy was the number one overall recruit in his class. He was the most highly touted quarterback as a recruit that we had seen in a long time. And I think that the expectation is that he hasn't even come close to reaching what his full potential is, at least as a collegiate football player. And I think that Whittingham and his staff are going to get him there. So I'm excited for it. 10 wins. I think that's possible. That should be the expectation. I don't think Michigan going undefeated is a realistic possibility, but getting back into the college football playoff is something that I think is more than a fair expectation for this team.
First time you haven't said 12-0 in like a decade. Good for you.
That's not true. Ralph Lewis wants to know who returns punts this year. I don't know. I think that's an interesting question. I mean, could it be Andrew? Could it be Andrew Marsh? Could it be Celeste Moa? I mean, who would you think that position?
Yep, I was just going to add. Oh, damn it! I was going to ask you the same thing. Out of those two, I think. I mean, I put Moa back there because not to be a dick, but if you lose Moa, that's not as big of a loss. You lose Marsh. Now we're in a little bit of trouble, right? He's going to be an all-American wide receiver. You don't have him back there. And then you got Moa's legit. You and I were talking about his highlights, his shiftiness. He wants to play offense. It's a good way for him to get extra reps because he might crack the starting lineup, but it's going to be very hard. Next year he's going to have some actual guys in front of him. I think French was a 5-star guy, right? Yep. Talk about Buchanan's already locked in. Marsh, that's 3 right there, right?
Yep. It'll be interesting to see what Whittingham does because, Jared, you've talked about this a number of times that it just seemed like, and you saw it even under Jim Harbaugh too, like they really didn't try to put any like burners back there, any game changers back there, returning kicks and returning punts. The name of the game was really like, just put somebody back there that can field it, right? We're just trying to field it and then we'll let the offense go out there and operate. I'm interested to see what the philosophy looks like under Kyle Whittingham and what they do with Kerry Coombs and how they choose to approach that because, and you've made this point a number of times that if you have a game changer back there, a real like solid athlete that can flip the field, like that can win you some games that maybe you otherwise would have lost, right? If you can take a punt return 50 or 60 yards the other way. And so my hope is that they put a legitimate athlete back there. I mean, if I were to, I don't know. I guess if Celeste Moa if he can field the punt, right? He's got some speed. Andrew Marsh, it's a big risk. I'm not exactly sure who I would put back there. I just want a game changer back there. I want a real athlete back there that gives Michigan a chance.
Yeah, or even if he's just a threat, right? Because then that punter's trying to angle it out of bounds. Inevitably, they're going to shank one, or the kicker's trying to keep it away. And if they can't get in the end zone, they're going to kick it out of bounds or do something silly because they're just trying to keep it away from him. So just that threat. Can change a game. So yeah, and Michigan never had that, right? We had the dude back there where you're looking and like, who the hell is that guy? And Jake Thaw got brought up. Nothing against the kid, but man, he had somebody else back there.
He can feel it. But then you had Samaj Morgan back there, and Samaj was having some trouble with turnovers, and there were all kinds of issues there. So
Marsh fumbled one this year too, right? And he kind of got taken off there. But yeah, we got options like they've mentioned Hyder. The fans here, they got Hyder. Tatum is just a stud athlete too. Maybe you could throw him out there. I mean, I'm sure these guys are getting tons of reps, and we'll probably see multiple guys, during the spring game too, right? So we'll see. Yeah. I'm excited to see the spring game, just to see what these receivers look like. On paper, we know Marsh is the man. Buchanan's got stats. French is a 5-star, but I want to see it. You know what I mean? I want to see them run some routes. I want to see. Remember last spring game? That was rough.
It was rough, yeah, and ironically, it was a sign of things to come, right? Because
I don't want to see that.
Rough for most of the season. I wonder if maybe Smith Snowden is one of those sneaky guys that could go back there, right? He's a two-way player, was a two-way player for Utah, a guy who I think could be that game changer type athlete. I don't know. That's going to be intriguing, right? They've definitely got options, and I think that's the biggest thing going into this year. Is it just? I think I said this on the last show. All the excuses that we had for last season for why things looked the way they looked, outside of the Sharon Moore stuff, that put that in a separate compartment. But in terms of just the roster itself, it was like, well, these guys are young. These guys are inexperienced. You can't expect this because this guy's still learning here. I feel like all of that is gone going into 2026. And now it's just fair to expect production. It's fair to expect Bryce Underwood to live up to the 5-star billing that he was as a high school recruit. It's fair to expect a guy like Jordan Marshall to be able to be the type of bell cow you think he can be. It's fair to expect this offensive line to be in the running for the Joe Moore Award, which they were last year, which was a little bit, I think we were,
everybody is.
Everybody might be into that, but I think it's
teams.
Point being, when you look at the wide receivers, when you look at the offensive line, the quarterback situation, what they've got in terms of the running back room, it is fair to expect a high level of production from this offense. And then when you look at what Jason Beck has done with an offense, I mean, rushing offense, they were top 10 in the country, right? Maybe even top 5. So
they were high.
There's no reason to expect, this Michigan offense to finish, I don't know, outside the top 90 in the country. And this shit's been going on for too long. And it's fair to expect more. Tatum, that could be the Oklahoma transfer, Taylor Tatum.
He's a stud. He's an athlete, right?
Another former 5-star. I think he was the number 1 running back recruit in his class. And now he's coming over to Michigan from Oklahoma. He's had some injury issues there. He's going to be starting his career playing defense in the secondary, which was kind of a bit of a surprise, but I don't know. With the return of Bryson Cusdahl, I guess it makes a little more sense.
Yes, to the fans who want to know, Chris and I will both be at the spring game, correct, Chris? I mean,
yes, the plan is to be at the spring game. Absolutely, the plan is to be at the spring game. The spring game, let me see. I saw somebody ask for the date. I just put it out on social. I believe it's April 18th. Is the actual date of the spring game. Spring practice begins March 17th, which is kind of crazy here, dude. A month and a half spring practice begins for the Michigan Wolverines. And then, the spring game is set to take place on April 18th. As far as like an official time, that is to be determined. But for those that were asking, April 18th is the date of the spring game this year. And then Michigan will start spring practice on March 17th. They'll have 15 practice sessions before that spring game on April 18th. So
well-oiled machine.
Well-oiled machine, no doubt about it.
Any mistakes.
All right, we are at an hour and 7 minutes here. There's one more question that I want to ask before we get out of here. And the reason why I want to ask it is because this guy, at least as far as fans were concerned, this guy was on the hot seat, and had been on the hot seat for a while, not just for this, this in recent months, but for a couple of years. And I'm talking about athletic director Ward Manuel. And I think that we're still waiting on a finalized report from whatever this law firm was that came in and did an investigation about how things were handled with Sharon Moore. So, I don't want to dive too deep into that. We'll see what that report ultimately generates when it becomes public. But Jared, in terms of Ward Manuel and the job that he's done as athletic director, I'm just looking around at different things that are happening, and I'm looking at Michigan hockey sitting at number 1. I'm looking at Michigan men's basketball, arguably the number 1 team in the country, number 2 in the latest AP poll, but they did just knock off 2 top 10 wins against Nebraska, Michigan State. I'm looking at Michigan women's basketball at number 8. I'm looking at Michigan football and the hire of Kyle Whittingham, and it just seems like things are kind of good right now with the athletic programs, with the major programs. I'm curious, has your mindset on Ward Manuel as Michigan's athletic director and the job he's doing? Has it changed at all, just given the way things look kind of across the board here in recent weeks?
Man, thanks for not telling me this question beforehand. I appreciate it. That was
Yeah.
good. Because I'll give you an honest answer. I think maybe he's finally getting over this like Michigan man thing, right? Like you got to hire a Michigan man, because he's realizing, no, you don't. Like you just hire the best guy possible, and that's what's going to be best for your program. Dusty May, not a Michigan guy, best guy out there possible at the time, right?
Right.
Grabbed him. Kyle Whittingham, definitely not a Michigan guy. Dude's been in the same program for 32 years. You know what I mean? Like as far as you can get, but yeah, we'll work on that, Matt. But
bury the report before it comes out. We don't need to know what's in the damn report. Ward's doing just fine. Leave it alone.
Over with. But no, I think he's learned, man. I think he's learned that, you just got to do your job and not worry about it. That's hard because you've talked about it before. He's got not even the fan base, because that just comes with the territory, but he's got a group of elite, and we met and hung around some of these businessmen and women who are behind this program. I mean, you got the second richest man in the world invested in your football program. Like he's got pressure.
Yeah.
But now I think he's just going his own way, and we'll see how Whittingham works. We don't want to get too excited about it, but it looks good. And yeah, the program's healthy. If you look at an athletic director, you look at it and say, what do you say? Like, how's the program doing? And it looks pretty good. Now, there behind the surface, under the surface, we're going to find out what was going on. And that could be devastating. We don't know, you and I've talked about like how do people around that program that much, just how did they not know some of the stuff that was going on? We've had specific names which we won't mention, but how did they not know? Because everywhere you were, you know what I mean? Like that's just... I think that's, but okay. So one of the reasons why, they have, and I don't know if you saw what the assistant coaches are making when the official numbers came out, but it's clear that Michigan coaches, at least on the football team, are going to get paid. And I think part of that is when you fire somebody with cause, there's a whole bunch of money that you don't need to pay out now all of a sudden. And I think when you ask, who didn't know, I think they knew. I think they knew what was going on. But I think the problem was when you ask the two people involved and both people say no and deny it, what can you really do, unless you've got somebody else that's willing to come forward with some sort of evidence. And so I think that puts you in a weird spot where it's like, hey, do we want to move on this guy and fire him without cause based on some sort of, and then you set yourself up for some sort of issue. I don't know, man. I was kind of in the camp that Ward Manuel probably had to go, just given the way that things had gone down. And you look at some of the stuff that happened within the football program. And I think it was just, there was too much shit that was going on where it just seemed like a mess, and you didn't know where the adults were. It just seemed like everybody was kind of doing whatever they wanted to do. And they had an interim president, right?
They had an interim president, right? Which is now
calls, right? Now they have a legit, but
right. So overall, I think when it comes to Ward Manuel, I don't know. Again, you look at some of the major sports and you look at the success that they're having. And if you're going to judge an athletic director on that, and then, graduating kids and making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do in the classroom, it feels like things are in a pretty damn good spot with Kyle Whittingham and Dusty May and what's going on with women's basketball and what's going on with the hockey program. I mean, they're playing at a very high level across the board. And I just feel like maybe some of that public perception about Ward Manuel and the job that he's doing is starting to shift. But again, as Matt Kirby said, there's still this investigation. We'll see. We'll see what's coming. We'll see what's coming.
Hey,
but
winning solves everything, my friend.
Well, it solves most things.
It really does, man. I mean, just be a winner.
I don't know. Did it solve Connor Stallions? Because that seemed like, even though they won,
man, he's got to be doing just fine. I see him at all these games that I can't afford to go to. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he's doing fine. Sure.
Yeah.
He's
exactly.
Fine.
So winning,
capitalized off it.
Yeah. So see, that's what I'm saying. Even if you cheat, you can still win. That's your lesson of the day, kids.
Calling Michigan cheaters? Is that what you're doing?
What? No, I was talking about Connor Stallions.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Well, hey, you and me.
Yeah. There. See, exactly.
I thought you were a Connor Stallions guy. I thought you were a Connor Stallions apologist. Oh,
I'm a fan. Yeah, I love Connor Stallions. Yeah.
This is just because he served his country.
Michigan legend.
See, what are we doing?
You can't talk bad about him. He's a genius. He's ahead of his time, Chris. Ahead of his time. It's just, you do something and people think it's shady, but it's just because you do it better than them. Like, grow up, man. Grow up. They
The
all
only
did.
saving grace is that it all came from a place of love because he loved the program. And so, how mad can you be?
That was poetic. That was poetic. I think that's the end right there. That's walk
Well,
away.
what is
Jordan,
Gabe
walk
Boners?
off. What? And then you
Well,
say that.
what is Gabe Boners? I think that's where we're going to end it today. I don't know. This was a stinker of a show. I thought we were going to come with some hot fire today. Michigan
Fans loved
dominating Michigan State. Michigan football announcing the spring game, announcing some captains. Part of me thinks it was because of your poor internet connection. It just threw the whole feng shui of the show right off. It threw the whole rhythm off. We'll try to get the internet fixed. Jared and I are going to be back on Thursday. Ralph Lewis reminds us of our dear friend Lou Sassel. We are going to be back on Thursday, and we're going to return to Fan-Led Thursday on Thursdays. And so this is one where, I said it before. If you want dating advice from Jared, if you want to talk about things that are going on in your personal life, if you want to talk sports, Michigan football, if you want to talk Big Ten, whatever it is you want to talk, Thursday is your show. You show up, you put it in the comments. Jared and I will get to it. We will tackle the topic. That will be Thursday at 6 p.m. Right here and on the YouTube page. Jared, anything you want to throw out there before we hop off and spend some time with our families?
Props to the fans. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate you all.
Appreciate y'all. CJ says it was me demanding to be right about the Andrew Marsh thing. Look, I warned you. I said it was going to happen. I said it was going to happen.
That's what ruined the show. He said that's what ruined the show.
When the announcement comes, I am going to come on this show and gloat, and that's exactly what I did. Well, what is Gabe Boners? And on that note, we're gonna end the show right here. We will be back on Thursday, 6 p.m. Appreciate you all for joining in the comments. Take care. Have a good one.